Hi, I'm Hillary Wanema.
I'm Shelby Chastain.
And I'm Morgan Madrid.
And this is the iconic Bionic table.
Okay, so I'm going to go over some of the features of the iconic Bionic table. The point of the table is that it's adjustable height, so there's going to be 6 levels, and they're going to be 1 through 6. 1 is going to be the tallest level, and 6 is going to be the shortest level. On the wall where the table is connected, they're going to be easy to see buttons. They're going to have braille on them, and they're going to be made with neon colors, so they're easy to see for people who have visual impairments. The table is also going to have rounded edges for safety, so for the people who do have visual impairments, they're not bumping into it and hurting themselves. There's not going to be any supporting legs under the table, so if you have a wheelchair or anything like that, you can roll under it, and it'll be connected to the wall. There will be a cutout in the table that I'll be able to show you here in a minute, where if you are in a wheelchair, depending on what kind of wheelchair you're in, you should be able to get better access to the table because you can wheel into the cutout of the table instead of sitting on the outside. There's also a power strip built into the top of the table, so the users aren't having to lean under the table or look on the ground for a power strip. It'll be built into the top, and it'll be easy to reach for everyone. And then the last part of the table is that it has ease of use. So on the table, above the table, there's going to be a QR code for users to scan with their phone, and they'll be able to watch an instructional video if they don't understand the design when looking at it the first time. Also, there's going to be an accessible assistance button, so let's say they don't have a phone or don't know how to use the QR code, they'll be able to press it and someone from the facility or wherever they are can come over and help them and show them how to use the table.
So one of the main parts of the table is going to be the adjustable levels. So the tallest is going to be the level 1, and then the shortest is level 6, and it's going to correspond to the actual table on the wall. So when you want to go 1, it's going to go up to 1. If you want it to go to 6, it's going to go down to 6. And so what also it includes is the speaker. The speaker is going to tell you which level you're actually moving it up to. And then there's also the neon numbers for the visually impaired. And then we also have the braille for each number for the visually impaired also. And so, let's see. And then we also have the QR code right here. If you scan that, it's going to send you to a full-length YouTube video that's going to explain how to use the table. And then there's also the assistance button if you also need additional help on how to use it or just help in general.
So this is the iconic Bionic table. It's attached to the wall via brackets to give it a support system because there are no table legs. There's also a cutout, so if the person's in a wheelchair, they'll be able to wheel into the cutout, so they'll be able to work closer to the table for whatever assignment or project they're working on. There is also yellow tape around the table for the visually impaired, so they do not hit the table, so they'll know where it is. There's also rounded edges, so so if you accidentally do bump into the table, you don't hurt yourself on the sharp edges of a normal table. There's also a power strip built into the desk, so if you have any devices like your laptops or your phones, you don't have to find an outlet on the floor or like on the wall underneath the table, and it's all there for you.
Okay, so if someone wanted to use this table and let's say they did not have any impairments, it should be pretty easy for them to come up and use it. So I know one of the bigger movements that's going on right now is people are wanting to stand while they work or be able to sit at a higher level because it's better for your posture. So even if you aren't disabled, you can choose to hit the 1 button and have the table move up to the 1. So now instead of working at a desk where you're hunched over and having to write, you can either adjust it to where you're sitting at a higher stance, or you can be standing if you put it all the way up at 1, and then that'll be better for those people who like to stand. Okay, so for members of the deaf community, they don't typically consider themselves to be disabled or in need of assistance, so they would be able to use the table just like any other individual. However, let's say they don't quite understand the instructions and would not get as much use out of the assistance button because let's say whoever comes up to assist them with the table does not know sign language. they will really benefit from using the QR code because they can get a link to the YouTube video, which will have subtitles on it. So they will be able to gain a little bit of knowledge from that if they aren't able to use the easy-to-use instructions.
Okay, so now we're moving on to wheelchair users. Wheelchair users can get a lot out of this product. And so one of the main key features is going to be the cutout in the table. This is going to make it a lot more accessible for them to just wheel up to it and reach everything that's going to be on the table. Also, a lot of wheelchairs, they're a bunch of different heights. So like if you're in a power wheelchair, it's going to be a lot taller. So that's when the adjustable height is going to come into play. Some people, they're in their wheelchair, it may just be physical, but it might also be like multiple sclerosis and stuff like that, where they can't use their hands in the normal way to press the buttons. And so that's when it's going to come into the assistant button is going to come into play. So they can just press that, and then somebody will come over the speaker and see what they need help with. And then they can just tell them that they need help pressing the different levels, adjusting in the table. And so the person will come over, press the buttons, and assist them whichever way they need to. And so another key feature of the table is the built-in power strip. This is going to make it a lot more accessible for the wheelchair users to actually charge their phone, plug in their laptop, or whichever they need. So it's just going to be easy, and they just reach over, plug it in instead of having to go to the floor or trying to find it on the wall. So it's already going to be in the table. Let's see. I think that was it, right?
Okay, so for our visually impaired individuals, we've already gone over some of the features, but just to reiterate, a lot of visually impaired people aren't fully blind, so having the bright colors on the buttons and around the edges of the table, along with the scale on the wall, will make a big difference in whether or not they can see or be able to distinguish between the buttons. So for that feature, we have the neon here to help them see the buttons. Also, if they can't see that or can't notice the difference between the buttons, there's Braille on the wall. So once they are ready to make a selection, they can feel which number they want to choose. And then also once they've picked a number, the speaker will have an auditory component to it. And let's say I pick level 3. If I feel it and I say I want to go to level 3, the speaker will say, you have selected level 3, and then it'll say table moving or something like that to give the user an idea that the table is moving, and then they need to be careful to not run into the edge of the table or be leaning on it or anything like that while the table is actually in the process of moving.
To amputees, so they can either be quadriplegic, paraplegic, anything that classifies them as an amputee. And so what some of the features you can use for an amputee is the buttons are going to be decently large. So if they don't have fingers that can just push the buttons easily, they're going to be able to access the buttons without pressing a bunch of buttons at the same time. The other main factor that goes along with a lot of the other disabilities is going to be the adjustable levels. So if the person, let's say they have amputee above the elbow, they're not going to have a lot of extra stretch room, so they're going to need to pull the table up farther so they can maybe reach the power strip that's built into the table. If they also need extra assistance, maybe say they can't reach the buttons, then they're going to need to press the assistance button for somebody to come over the speaker again, and they're going to come over and help them, and the amputee will help them press the button or whichever they need, intellectually disabled individuals. And so, because some of the key factors are going to be the neon colors, that's going to help them realize that these are the numbers that they need to be pressing. There's also arrows that are going to tell them which direction the table's actually going to move, so it'll be easy to understand. The assistant button is going to be in larger letters, but these are kind of small, but they will be larger where they can realize this is the button they need to be pressing if they need some help. So also with the neon colors, that's going to be the orange that's around the edges of the table. That's going to help them realize that this is where they need to stop and whatnot. And then the power strip will also be in a bright white color, so it's going to be a different color than the actual wood table. So it's going to be easier for them to access it and see the plugs.
The iconic bionic table is a very versatile piece of furniture. It can be used in hospitals, clinics, classrooms, libraries, and even in your own home.
Alright, so thanks for watching our video about the iconic bionic table. I'm Morgan.
I'm Shelby.
And I'm Hillary. Hi. I'm Hillary Wanema.
I'm Shelby Chastain.
I'm Morgan Madrid.
We can't. 10. What is 10?
10 easy payments of $12.99.
20. That's all I remember.
Of 100. No. Oh. Sorry. You can say that. So
So yeah,
they.
do deaf and blind in one video. So this is a table.
It's because you started laughing.
I know.